Hi, friends. We're going to review what we've learned this week about Native Americans and pilgrims. So, remember, Native Americans are the people that lived in the Americas where we live before the pilgrims got here. So, down here in the bottom, let's see if we can think of something that we learned about Native Americans this week. Well, from our video, The Wampanoag, I remember learning that Native Americans lived in a Wetu. They had different kinds of houses, like teepees, um, depending on which tribe they are in. But the ones that we learned about, the Wampanoag lived in a Wetu. It was made of straw. We don't live in a Wetu, and neither did the Pilgrims. So I'm going to put this down here by the Native Americans. They lived in a Wetu. What's something that we learned about the Pilgrims this week from our readings and from our video? Hmm. I remember that the Pilgrims, they lived in wooden houses or log houses. We don't live in those anymore. We used to, but now we don't. We live in modern houses. So I'm going to put this over here just by the Pilgrims. They lived in those wood houses that are made of logs, planks. Now, what's something we know about kids today that isn't true about Native Americans and Pilgrims? Well, I know that kids today go to school or have school online. Remember, the Native Americans and Pilgrims kids, they didn't go to regular school like we know about, or they definitely didn't have online school because they didn't have internet. Now let's think. Now we're going to go and compare and see if we can find some things that modern kids, Pilgrims, and Indians and Native Americans have in common. So here we have the Native Americans and the Pilgrims. We're going to put what did they have in common? Just them two, not modern day kids. Hmm. I remember Native American kids and Pilgrim kids both got water from a spring. We get water from a sink, not a spring. And what else? They also had one of the same chores. I remember they had to grind corn a lot to help with their family dinners. You guys don't have to grind corn anymore. We can buy flour. All right, very good. Now let's think about what modern day kids, so kids like you guys and pilgrims have in common. Hmm. Well, I remember from the video that the pilgrims dressed similar to how we dress today in the same fabric. So their clothes are made of linen. The Native Americans' clothes was not made of linen. Does anyone remember what it was made of? I hope you said animal skin, because if you said animal skin, you were right. Native Americans made their clothes from animal skin. The Pilgrims did not, nor do we make our clothes from animal skin today. Now, let's think what does a modern day kid like yourself have in common with a Native American? It may seem like nothing at first, but if you notice from our Native American video, you'll notice that they all have on jewelry. And that was something that was really important to Native Americans. They had lots of different jewelry made of beads, and we wear jewelry now. There's all kinds of jewelry in our world today. But if you watched our pilgrim video, they did not wear a lot of jewelry. Maybe we got that from the Native American culture. Okay, friends, now that we've talked about how all these things are different and some of them are the same, let's look at our middle bubble. How are they all the same? How are all the modern day kids, the Native Americans, and the pilgrims the same? Well, one thing I remember is that the Native American kids and the pilgrim kids and you guys love to play games. They The Native American kids played that game with a stick where they passed the ball back and forth, the little sack, and they tried to catch it on the stick. And the Pilgrim kids played nine pin, which is kind of like our bowling where you roll the ball and you knock the pins over. They also played the game where they threw the ball up onto the roof. Another way that all these kids are the same is they all have families that love them. You guys have families that love you. The Native American kids had a family that loved them, and so did the Pilgrim kids. So I'm so glad that we've learned so much about Native Americans and the Pilgrims this week, as well as the first Thanksgiving and how the Native Americans and the Pilgrims were able to help each other survive in the new world, in a world that nobody had figured out really how to live in yet. So as our last activity for our Native American and Pilgrims unit that we've been learning about in theme work, we're going to do a Native American powwow song.
Children's songs, sing and move along. Children's songs make your brain and body strong.
Ay-ay-ay-ay, ay-ay-ay,
Powwow,
ay-ay-ay-ay, ay-ay-ay,
powwow,
ay-ay-ay-ay, ay-ay-ay,
powwow,
ay-ay-ay-ay, ay-ay-ay.
powwow.
Fly like the eagle, run like the deer,
Run like the deer,
swim like the fish,
swim like the fish,
growl like the bear,
growl like the bear,
Slither like the snake,
slither like the snake,
creep like the fox,
creep like the fox,
hop like the rabbit,
hop like the rabbit,
howl like the wolf.
howl like the wolf.
Ay-ay-ay-ay, ay-ay-ay,
powwow,
ay-ay-ay-ay, ay-ay-ay,
powwow,
ay-ay-ay-ay, ay-ay-ay,
powwow,
ay-ay-ay-ay, ay-ay-ay,
powwow. Twinkle like the star,
Twinkle like the star,
shine like the sun,
shine like the sun,
blow like the wind,
blow like the wind,
grow like the flower,
grow like the flower,
flow like the mountain stream,
flow like the mountain stream,
turn like the earth,
turn like the earth,
rumble like the thunder,
rumble like the thunder,
fall like the rain.
fall like the rain.
Ay-ay-ay-ay, ay-ay-ay,
powwow,
ay-ay-ay-ay, ay-ay-ay,
powwow,
ay-ay-ay-ay, ay-ay-ay,
powwow,
ay-ay-ay-ay, ay-ay-ay,
powwow.
If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and leave me a comment below. For more fun movement songs that help develop a child's brain and body, check out my album, I've Got Music in Me, on my website, jackhartman.com.
All right, friends.
Click
Thank you
on
for
any
learning
of the
with me
video
today.
boxes to see more fun